all know Jack LaLanne as the guru of exercise. Now, we're proud to introduce Jack LaLanne and his new Juicifier. That's right, Jack LaLanne has come out with a product to help you stay healthy, healthy as Jack is. Now, here's Jack LaLanne to tell you about his amazing Juicifier.
Hello, everyone, and I'd like to thank you all for allowing me to come into your homes this beautiful day. I'm Jack LaLanne, and I'm proud to introduce to you my Juicifier. If you use my Juicifier, you'll live a happier, healthier life. In fact, you may live to be as healthy as me, Jack LaLanne. I've been dead for 5 years, and my body doesn't even know it yet. Now, that's healthy, folks. That's healthy. I'm going to give you a demonstration today of exactly what my Juicifier does. My Juicifier is amazing. Let's see what this baby can do. Let me see. I'm going to load it with a few items. Where are my vegetables at? Let me think. Here we go. We're going to put in some of this.
Jack, that's a gym bag, Jack. That's got your gym clothes in it, Jack.
Yeah? And then, about one of these. Yeah?
Jack, that's the tissue I've been using to wipe my nose with all morning.
Is that Juicifier working? And then, one of these things there. This will work.
Jack, for God's sake, that's your cat. Jack, don't put the cat in. Oh.
Yeah. Can you hear that Juicifier working? It's making healthy juice that's going to make your life long and happy. Now, what you've got is a tasty, vitamin-enriched drink, which is sure to make your life a much more pleasurable and healthy experience. And who knows, your body may go on living years after you're dead, too, just like Jack LaLanne. If I could pull a boat with my teeth, that should tell you my juice is awesome. I'm Jack LaLanne. I can pull things off with my teeth. I pulled off bras, skirts, pantyhose. I owe it all to my health and my Juicifier. The Jack LaLanne Juicifier wouldn't be complete without its special safety features. If you notice, when I stick my hand in the Juicifier...
For God's sake, Jack, that thing just cut off 2 of your fingers. We gotta get you to a hospital.
Hello? 911?
See that? Not a scratch on me. That's because Jack LaLanne believes in safety and health and exercise. And I like to come into your home with my tight pants and exercise. Yeah, make you healthy and exercise and come into your home uninvited. And did I tell you I've been dead for 5 years? Not bad, huh, ladies? This is Jack LaLanne telling you, buy my Juicifier now. Get one before it's too late and you and your body are dead. Don't you want your family to be healthy? Okay, folks, see you around.
Families across America are enjoying Jack LaLanne's juice from his Juicifier.
I serve nothing but Jack LaLanne juice to my family. I want them to be healthy, and I want my husband to live even after he's dead. Here you go, kids.
Oh, God, Mom, what is this crap? Last time I drank this, I sat on the toilet for 3 weeks. This stuff is...
Here you go, honey. Drink your Jack LaLanne juice so that you can live after you're dead.
Oh, God, what is that nasty? Are you trying to kill me, you... Where's that insurance policy? Did you take an insurance policy out on me again? Damn it. God, I feel like I'm gonna puke.
Being healthy isn't always easy, but it's a lot easier with Jack LaLanne's Juicifier. Thank you, Jack LaLanne. You're the best. Sorry that you died 5 years ago, but I'm glad you're still around to talk to us.
Yes, Jack LaLanne has been amazing us with his health for years and years. How does he do it? His special Juicifier. That's right, the Juicifier that makes juice that's good and keeps you healthy and helps you live a longer life. Just look at Jack LaLanne. He doesn't look a day over 159. The Juicifier is now available for the low, low price of 62 payments of $49.82. That's an amazing price for your health, don't you think? You can put anything in it, and out comes a nutritious, healthy, vitamin-enriched drink like substance. Jack LaLanne's Juicifier. Get one today.
This is Ghostly Talk.
Should I read it like a vampire? I don't know. I'm just wondering.
You just made it.
Oh, I know.
You just made it, Doug.
People don't see that. They don't know that until you say it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, just like they don't know I messed with the mic stand when I had the channel off. Until you go, what did you just do, Scott? I go, okay.
Well, we will improve over time. I guess 8 years isn't enough.
No, it isn't. I think about 16 we'll finally
we might perfect.
We'll get the finishing the sentence thing down after 16 years. Maybe.
A little less.
Speaking of finishing sentences, we do have someone here who can finish many sentences and actually fill a book full of sentences. Many books. Who is she, Doug?
Well, for over 20 years, Heidi Hollis has been involved in looking into unsolved mysteries from a very young age. She's an advocate for bringing the ordinary and the extraordinary to a comfortable level where they can be spoken of frankly and openly, with a hint of humor. And she has written for various publications and is sought worldwide for her advice and research into many of the mysteries and wonders this life has to offer. She has also appeared in numerous national and international radio and television programs and is the former host of 2 syndicated radio programs. Heidi Hollis is also a practicing occupational therapist, a lecturer, and an advice columnist, as we all very, very well know. The website, of course, www.HeidiHollis.com, www.alienadvice.com, and now we get to talk about www.pictureprayers.com, all of which will be linked up at the in the guest section of GhostlyTalk.com. Welcome back to Ghostly Talk. Ghostly Talk, Heidi. That was a mouthful. I just couldn't keep it together.
He didn't breathe the whole time. He's purple right now, Heidi.
It sounded like it. How are you guys? It's been a while.
It's been too long.
It's always too long not to talk
to you. But
see,
Heidi, you're so busy. I mean, you really it's always another project. You're so into this. Heidi, how do you keep your? Do you take vitamin B?
Actually, that's funny you say that. Yes, I am.
Okay, that helps because I just don't know how you keep your energy level up, how you keep going and looking into this stuff and I know it must be.
They told me to drink a glass of wine every day, so I just drank the bottle. I figured that.
Well, if a glass is good for you, a bottle must just go.
I never felt so great. Honestly, I mean everything is pretty. Everything. My face is always warm.
There you go.
And I'm in a better mood.
Good color.
Yeah. My blood pressure's going through the roof, but hey. Sorry. I don't know where that came from. You guys go ahead and have your conversation, because.
How do you get? No, I'm not the only host of Ghostly Talk.
No, I know.
Heidi, because I mean, from the shadow figures, alienadvice.com, to just all the stuff. Your trip when you went on that just magical, incredible trip, all over the globe. You just get it done. You're doing all this work. How do you get your ideas? Like, what's your inspiration? Because I just don't have enough energy to follow through with everything that I do. And you're just like, oh, you know what I think I want to do next, and you go off and you have an interesting story every time we talk to you.
Yeah.
So what inspires you?
You know, I really like to, take a closer look at things when something crosses my path. It's like I'm not a type of person that's just to go, oh, well, whatever that was. I like to take a closer look and, bring it up and examine it and try to make sense of it if I can. But, it's funny. It's like you guys know the wide variety of topics that I cover. And it's funny because it's so many, well, I shouldn't say so many. I'm getting advice from a certain someone that's telling me, well, you have to choose one or the other. You got to write on the paranormal or write on the holy stuff. And I'm like, I see how they bridge together, and it's like I'm trying to make sense of all of it because it's like so many people that are into different religions and whatnot, they feel like they've got to give up their faith because they saw a UFO or something. I think that's ludicrous. So I'm trying to, bridge the gap and try to make sense of all these things without making it sound like a new religion or cult or something.
Well, Heidi, we've been working on that for years here.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you said that.
I mean, all that. Go ahead, Doug. It's all you.
Well, what is it? What is the mantra that we have in our 8th year of broadcasting? What's the mantra that we keep?
Well, we're convinced.
Recurring theme.
Well, Doug, we're convinced. We're convinced that there are. I only want to use bizarre or strange. There are anomalous things. Well, that's the key word for today, anyways. There are anomalous things that happen, whether it be ghosts or an obvious one, UFOs or something strange. Ancient mysteries, anything around the planet. Both of us, I know, we share that opinion that we're convinced that there is something going on, but it's how it's all related that I think the true mystery is, and that's what you're doing is a big part of that, I think, Heidi.
I'm trying, and it's funny though because it's like I understand there are those people that have their faith and they're hardcore into what it is that they believe, and it's like, oh gosh, you're one of those people that believes UFOs are out there and aliens are flying them. I don't know if I could buy anything you're talking about then, and it's like, come on, people, that there's really, we're using different words nowadays, but I think a lot of the words that we use to call different creatures like aliens are what was written of in the Bible as demons and angels sometimes, It's like, I think people need to have a more open mind to what it is that is going on in this world.
Well, it's perception, I think. I mean, we're much more sophisticated now, at least in our minds we are. In my opinion, we're not, but that's a whole different show. But, back then, in earlier times, in some ways, slicing bread is just amazing. I think that's great.
Now we can make them picture perfect every single time. But back then it was more like hack it off with a
just gnaw it off.
So things have improved.
Things have drastically improved based on that. But the whole idea, I think, is that back then it's perception, like I was saying.
Yeah.
What we perceive something today, in our minds, let's say 5,000 years ago, was perceived completely different. Okay,
right.
And what you're influenced by, what you're told every day is a lot different than what we're told every day now. So, Heidi, I can see what you're talking about. That, if I was herding my flock, and I look up and I see the ship fly by or something like that, I'm gonna definitely think of that differently than I would now as I was walking down the street with my MP3 player and my brand new tennis shoes, watching cars come by. It's a different situation we live in now, so perception is going to be different.
Oh gosh, I think so. I mean, I've also thought, it's like, if I was back then in those days, 5,000 years ago, like you're saying, and see, a person levitating off the ground, I would think, well, they must have wings behind their back that I just can't see right now. Must be an angel. So
Again, it's perception. So you're tying these gaps together, or trying to just look into it. Because I think a true paranormal investigator, and I find myself doing this more and more now, Heidi. And Doug, I want you to smack me on the head about this too. Heidi, feel free to smack me on the head too. And I was talking to someone last night at that luge party we were at. And I was like, and I did say that I'm like a true person who studies the otherworldly or the paranormal, whatever you want to call it. They analyze everything. And it gets taxing at times. But you really look into things and try to drill down to the root of what is going on there, which may be causing this thing. And I find myself doing that, and you've seen me over the years, Doug. I mean, the toilet handle incident, for example.
Yes.
I mean, come on, for God's sake, it's a broken toilet handle. Relax a little bit, buddy. But no, I maniacally went nuts on this thing and wrote a whole paper on this, but I'm looking into it, though.
And Heidi, something too.
But Heidi, you're looking into the same way. I think a true paranormal investigator, that's what they do with these things.
And and evidently lately you're into picture prayers. Now, I remember as a kid. Here's my brief fling or whatever with prayer. My grandmother, my dad's mother, she was like, okay, you've got to, when she was watching us, when my mother was in the hospital for something, and she had something, anyway. So we had to learn how to pray. So anyway, so we're going to learn how to pray. And so she tells us how to pray, and we did. And I didn't notice anything of it. I didn't think anything of it. Yet every now and then, for no apparent reason, I mean, I didn't not like it. I didn't not do it. I didn't, I just, did what I was told. And didn't notice any improvement or whatever in my life. I didn't really care at the time.
Right.
7 or 8.
Just come out with it, Doug, for God's sake.
But ever since then, sometimes I will actually just, now I call it talking to the universe. I have a good heart-to-heart with the universe. Mm-hmm. That's what I call it now. And every time I do it, I do it either when I'm driving, or I do it when I'm meditating, or I do it when I'm watching TV, or I do it when I stub my toe, which is what I do instead of cursing. I do all this. I do all this stuff. Right?
Tie the show up there, Doug.
But I know that goes right back to the first hour.
Yeah. Nice.
But no, I talk to the universe, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way I've got it pretty much covered. If it's God or if it's Buddha or if it's, whoever, I've got it covered because, universe is a pretty big word. And it covers a lot. So I talk to the universe. That's what I do, right? But you were, tell us about prayer in your life, how you thought about it and how it came back around to actually working it and studying it now.
Yeah, well, it's kind of weird. It's like I guess I was kind of like you. Prayer was introduced to me when I was pretty young, and honestly, I was raised in a Christian household, whatever, and went to church, and it was like this thing that we had to do in church. To me, it was just practice to sit still as a kid. It's just like everybody's got to be quiet, don't rustle your papers, and bow your head when everybody's doing it. It was rather. I don't know, it felt so restricted and I felt uncomfortable and then I lost my mom when I was 7 years old and one of my sisters, my older sisters, came down to talk to me and my younger sister and soon after my mom had passed and said, "Are you saying to Mom that you love her every night?" And, being literal as kids, I was ready to bust out of the room and go looking for my mom. I'm like, what, she's hiding in the house somewhere? She really isn't dead, and it was funny. She's like, no, she realized that, we're about ready to run out of the room. And she's like, oh, I better rethink what I'm saying. She's like, no, are you praying to God every night and saying hello to Mom because, he's the one that has her. And I just felt like, oh my God, not him. My dad, soon after my mom died, and he said to us kids, I guess, God needed her more than we did. And I'm like, I doubt it. That was the furthest thing from, the truth. I thought. Mm-hmm. And now my sister's asking me to talk to the guy that took my mom away. I'm like, no way, Jose, this isn't going to happen. But then I'm like, okay. It made sense, okay, he's got her. I guess I better say hello, and
but so, your logic is impeccable on this, Heidi. I have to say,
infallible. Wow.
It's beautiful,
but it totally makes sense. I can picture myself being a young age and going through this exact process. I really can.
Exactly. That was my introduction, but it's funny because it's like, okay, we have to say in Jesus' name, when we're done with our prayer, and it's like we can't speak directly to Mom, so we have to give her a signal. It's like, well, what's the signal going to be? And we're like, oh, we'll give her a blowing kiss, at the end of our prayers, and like, okay, so we'll say hello to God bless so and so, and then give this blowing kiss to our mom, and then we're like, hold on, we had 2 Pekingese pooches that had recently passed over too. Can we give them a couple of kisses too? So at the end of each of all of our prayers, me and my sister, we would always do these 3 blowing kisses at the end of our prayers. And it just became this habit, and it became this routine, like throughout my childhood into early adulthood, where it was like, I was still saying the prayer of a kid, essentially. It was like, of course, I kind of expanded a little bit, and was like, God, please give me the strength not to hit my sister that irritates me, and stuff like that. And it was just kind of crazy, but I was like, I'd get so bored of my own prayers that I'd fall asleep in the middle of them. Getting down on my knees wasn't always the thing to do, so I'd say my prayers in bed at night, I'm laying under the covers, and it would be so boring that I would fall asleep. And I'd hoped, that some way, somehow, that there had to be another way to pray. And I tried different things. I tried praying in the middle of the day, like you're talking about, Doug. It's just like when you stub your toe or whatever while you're driving, But then it was like, I don't know, I was so distracted and it just didn't seem to flow for me so well. Still, you know, seeking a different way was a goal, but I was nothing that I could have truly ever planned for that had happened to me. And I'm sure you guys are the same, where it's like, you know, you investigate a lot of odd things, and it's like if something shows up that's a little peculiar, you're going to look further into it and explore it, like we're talking about, you know.
Of course.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, I started off with the whole ghost thing, then I went into the alien stuff, and then, lo and behold, shadow people, a topic that no one knew of, you know, when I wrote it, and thought I was nuts when I wrote, what the heck are shadow people, you know? I wrote that first book. But then to come, you know, to have had, you know, I spoke to you guys last year about my book, Jesus, No Joke. And having had an encounter with Jesus of all things, you know, come on. You know, I'm a paranormal person, you know, but I had something else happen to me that really kind of changed my whole view about praying. And it was actually, I was at another conference. It was in April of 2000, and I had one of these things that I tend to call a waking dream. I don't know. I was at this conference, and you guys know how it is when you're at a conference and you're meeting all these cool people and you don't ever want to sleep.
Oh, yes. I remember.
I still fear the conference that all of us get together at, because.
Oh God.
Yeah, we better. Yeah. Get the uppers going, because we're going to be spending the night just jamming. Yeah. Anyways, I know I know what you're talking about.
Caffeinated weekends.
We've had weekends where I can only identify a million times over with you, Heidi.
Oh yeah. Oh God, man. I was at this conference, and it's like I'm not the person. I'm not a drinker or anything like that. I just go in, I just chat my brains out, you know, and you don't want to sleep. And I was there with a group of friends, and God, I think I went to finally go take I guess you'd call it a nap at about 5 in the morning or something.
Right. Yeah, very familiar with the concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of my friends that was kind of keeping pace with me, you know, we had a multi-shared hotel room. You know, you do it the cheap way to get around. And he went and he crashed on his bed, and I went and I crashed in my bed. And again, it sounds familiar, like what happened with the Jesus encounter. I just put my head down on my pillow, and I felt like I was in another place, and I'm like, whoa, you know, where am I? And I saw this like hazy, like blue mist, and when it cleared, I could see people like kneeling with their heads down, mumbling and praying. Essentially, they were kind of expressing themselves to God, and I'm like, wow, what am I seeing here? You know, I couldn't hear outright words, but I could get a sense of what they were saying, and it was like I saw their words or form of their energy kind of coming from their lips and kind of forming. And as the energy like came forward, like these images started to form in front of me, and the people in prayer started to fade away. And it was strange, because it was like some of their images kind of lacked some luster or color, or had some missing parts, and I'm like, you know, I wondered, you know, why the heck am I here, you know? But then that kind of left me, as I felt this urge to kind of like make sense of what I was seeing, you know, and I couldn't get like a full meaning of what it was that they were praying about, but I could kind of sense that the energy wasn't so complete with what I was seeing, you know, and it took some effort, but I was able to kind of figure out the puzzle that was in front of me, and the prayers kind of like left my view. And then it was strange. It's like all of a sudden I saw off to one side of me, I saw it looked like a life movie is what I call it. It was like a life full of visuals, graphs, cards, homes, bills, love, pain, all this stuff. And as the movie was playing, like images came. As the movie was playing, like images kind of, how do you say, copy pasted? You know how you do that? You know? And they went to like the left of my view, and then like it left it from the spots in the life movie, like this energy poured forward from it, and that kind of went to the right of my view, and very much like how you would put like, you know, glue on the back of a photo, like the energy, the pain, the love, or whatever it was that came from this life movie kind of sucked into the images that were to my left and became this brilliant ball of light, and like spun in front of me and sent off to God is what it felt like. And up until this point, I mean, I'm watching this lesson without words that kind of felt like intentions were floated my way. And it said, take what you see in your life, envision it, and put your feelings of concern to what you see. So then I'm like, okay, and I just felt the urge to kind of practice it right then and there. And I thought of my parents, and I thought, oh, I hope they live long, happy lives. And, I kind of closed my eyes to kind of get a full vision in my head, I guess you could say. And, put my intentions to it and kind of sent it on to, I always say in Jesus' name, and sent it on its way. Mm-hmm. And after I did that, I didn't, again, it was like before this I really didn't hear direct words. It was more like intentions floated, but then I heard these direct words, and it said, words fall short of what is meant. Prayer can be done this quickly. This is how we communicate. And the presence that I felt, and I didn't see an entity or an angel, but it felt very angelic-like, the presence that I was in. Mm-hmm. And I got the direct sense that this was how the angels prayed. I mean, it sounds so bizarre. It sounds so strange, even for me, a lot of the things that I researched and experienced, I was just like, wow, Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's when I woke up from this, it made direct sense. I, hollered at my friend across the room, oh my God, I couldn't believe what just happened. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, well, that makes sense. It's like, wonder why no one ever thought of that. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It was just really strange. But it's like, for me, it was so uplifting. I mean, it was such a different concept for myself. And I am not a genius, and I don't give myself credit for having come up with this. But, it makes sense. It's like, if you believe in angelic, beings out there, I mean, do you think that they really, mumble their words to God? Hey, by the way, there's a guy over here being an a-hole. Could you help out over here or something? I would imagine that they have a different sense of communicating. So this was something that was really eye-opening for me. And for a person to be able to be in the middle of a party or whatever, enjoying themselves with their family and just like, to be able to take it all in as it's happening instead of waiting till, you go to bed at night to say your prayers or whatever, if you could just exude what it is that you feel right then and there and send your appreciation or you see your uncle across the room that's sick, send the thought to God, could you help him out? It's not a matter of taking out time for prayer, because I really think that, like what you were saying earlier, even Doug, it's like it's something that should be able to be done all day.
Yeah, completely.
I agree, and this is a profound experience that you just talked about because, well, first of all, it means that she works even when she's going to try and take a nap. which I'm
not surprised by at all.
I literally always thought you worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and now I know.
We have the proof now, right here on the show.
Right here, she's just said, yes, I work even when I go take a nap. It's so profound and it's so meaningful, and I mean we've heard the little indicators throughout our lives. Pictures worth 1,000 words. God is omnipotent and omniscient and can and feels love and things like that. So how couldn't we have said, okay, well, just sitting there and in a monotone voice saying, please take care of Grandma and Grandpa.
Right.
Well, it's add to my checklist for things to do today. Like you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
Gotta reserve this piece of time before I go to bed to say my prayers and most likely fall asleep in the middle of them.
And I've done that. Right. I've done that doing the old way. Doing the new way where I just, rattle on to the universe.
And I do the same.
It's a lot more fun.
No, I do the same thing.
But the universe doesn't talk back to me, though, so not yet. So I just, send it off and hope.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much what you're saying with the with picture prayer. You encapsulate all this stuff, your intentions, your emotions, your wishes, your hopes, your dreams, you encapsulate it all into this mental picture, and then send it.
exactly.
and then and it will it will be received by angelic realms and God and that's it just seems so it's efficient, first of all. It also seems efficient a heck of a lot. It does. It seems a heck of a lot more evolved than us talking like this through our larynxes and hoping that there's some kind of invisible ear.
I get my most done when I'm not talking at all.
Right.
I've been saying that for years to people.
Right.
I get the most done when usually. My busiest days are the days where I don't interact with people in any way usually. It's just I'm on my own, and I have to brain through things. And, like I think we're all talking about here, I know throughout my days, I'm out walking or whatever now. I mean, I do a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is, I really need to get this thing straightened out. And I was told years ago by people, you need to picture these things in your mind. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about, like, prayer itself. I'm talking about, just, picturing yourself. Like, this is where I want to be at. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to happen. Just make a mental picture of this thing and see yourself in that situation or whatever it may be. And it's very similar in a lot of ways.
Right.
But again, it's just deep thought, and it's a true. This makes prayer a true expression, in my opinion. I think. As opposed to something that is something you have to do at the end of the day. This is a true expression now.
Exactly.
And that's what makes it beautiful, I think. So.
Yeah, it does, and it's so effortless. It really has. It's changed so much in my personal life because it's like. For me, I'm never alone. I feel like these have turned into conversations with God. These haven't been, prayer is me asking for something or watch for that. It's been I feel like there's just this open channel. I guess that's a good way of putting it. Very much of an open channel where, I could even make a comment, like a joke. I really can't stand spiders, and to see one crawling across the floor, and I, shoot a thought off to God, like, did you really have to make so many different variations of that ugly creature? You know what I'm saying?
I completely agree. Absolutely agree. But you're. Do you know what, though?
You're speaking Semitic now.
Yeah, you are. You are speaking my language.
You were speaking his language.
But you know what's interesting? I wonder, because if we're supposed to have a relationship with, a higher power, a being, a universe, whatever, with God. We're supposed to have a relationship with God. What kind of relationship is it if just before you go to bed you say, "Dear God, thank you for the day. The blessings I received are absolutely wonderful. Please watch over, my so-and-so and so-and-so."
Exactly.
It's just, that's not a relationship.
That's a bad marriage. That's not a relationship. It's a bad marriage, literally.
Yes,
you're right.
It's so dry. And, I tell people, I'm like, if I had a friend that I didn't call, they would get the hit that I really don't give a rat's butt, about them. It's like it's like how do you create this connection with God? And that's something that I kind of poured into this book too, because I really wanted to see what it was that made us look for that connection with God, and how do we create it if we're not talking to Him, and if we're doing these old, ancient, rehashed, one that you learned, that the pastor just mumbled last Sunday, how are we truly expressing ourselves and who we are? How do we share a part of who we are if, most of the day is blocked, of even thinking of God until you go to bed at night or something?
Well, and I think that's what's really beaten up on religion for a very long time, I think, is the arcane practices, the monotony, and basically, something that you dread to do on Sunday. Kevin Smith illustrated that brilliantly, I think, in Dogma, the film Dogma, because that was his idea, was to go, look, we need to evolve here and understand what the idea of God is, not just having to jump through the hoops for God, because I don't think that's what He wants.
Right. But you know what I think is important, though, too, because it's like I've met a lot of people who are very passionate about what it is they believe in. It's like, and I'm not here to poo-poo what works for other people,
of course not.
It's like, that's cool. If it works for them, awesome. But I think there are a ton of us that are very much looking to make something a little bit more right. I don't know. It's like, and we all seem to feel that desire. It's so common out there, and it's always interesting for me to hear, what drives you to even look for a God or to make that connection? What is it? What is it in you? You feel like something's missing. A lot of them feel like I'm supposed to look, and the cool thing for me with talking to people about, picture prayers and how it is I came about, discovering it and practicing it in my life, is that it works for people of any kind of faith. I think we all do have some kind of manner of connecting back to what we think is our source, our God, And I've been really fortunate to have the opportunity to talk to so many different types of people with so many different backgrounds. It's so interesting to me. But
I can't imagine it being. I can't imagine it being like objectionable to anybody, because as far as I'm concerned, it's building a relationship with that higher power, with that, the whatever you grew up, believing in, or whatever you found along your journey. You have, it's just building a relationship. For me, I just call it the universe. And I know that after I talk to the universe, I must look like a fool when I'm doing it. But after I'm done, I feel complete. I feel a part of something. I feel loved. I feel like for a brief moment I've got a spot, and I'm not alone. Like you had mentioned, I'm not alone. I just always, I guess, imagined that the universe, or in other people's cases, God can just read your mind and automatically know what you're thinking. But, who's got time for all that? So I wonder if that's not a brilliant way to encapsulate everything and then just let it go. It would help relieve stress. It would help guide you, because then your subconscious, I mean, if you get scientific on it, or psychological, once you've released that concern, right, in such a meaningful way, because pictures and emotions and all that, you send that on. Once you've released it, your subconscious can get to work on it, and that's where big things are done. Like I can, my consciousness can do math, and it can read, and it can comprehend things, but it doesn't really work at a deep level like your subconscious, which is working, So I just think that that's a very powerful thing that you happened across, and thank heavens you did.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, it gets a lot more people to start using their noggin, because in all honesty, I mean, what percentage of our brain is it that we use? Again, I can't remember, but it's like...
It's only like 10 or 15%. It's not much.
Yeah, it's very little, and it's like, I really think that... for myself, anyways, it's like, because I feel like I'm constantly in conversation with God, like, oh, have a look at this, what should I do about that? And it's like, for me, it's almost like a step toward that little magical word that we hope exists somehow is telepathy, If we had receptors out there that could hear our thoughts and who we're pointed it towards, perhaps this would be one way of going that route. But, I could only dream. But anyways, but it's like, it's truly, because I don't feel like there is no place that, God cannot look when I'm having this new relationship with Him, with this different form of prayer that I've been doing as of late, and it's been really such an uplifting thing for me, and it's like, a lot of people, I'm so glad. I love talking to you guys, because you could totally relate to, touching on different subjects, but a lot of people, a lot of radio shows that I've gone on, they're like, so Heidi, have you fallen off the boat? What is this? You're not talking about shadow people and aliens all the time. I think you should stick, and do this or that. And it's so like, no, I haven't fallen off any boat. I'm still on the same planet that you are. It's like, I just like to, look into other things too. But I am still visiting on the shadow people stuff and the Hat Man stuff, and but
what's wrong with stretching out a little bit and learning some new things? That's what it's what Ghostly Talk is all about. Essentially.
And in my experience, and I really think that developing a spiritual side. Mm-hmm. Is something that is one of the things that I think that we're here for. I think it's the meaning of. I think it's a part of the meaning of life.
Oh yeah.
And I think that you, and I know that there's religious. You said dogma, the movie, but there is religious dogma out there that tries to, rail you into the,
Well, they want to fit you into this perfect little square. This is what religions. This is what we do here. If you can't fit into this thing, you're going to go to hell.
Right, and I think that's a little, one-sided, a little one-minded.
He's worse than the cops then.
Well, the SS and stuff.
But come on.
I just think that it's, that is very, very one-track mind. I think that there's more to developing your spiritual side, and I think that because this is no longer the Crusades, right, or the Spanish Inquisition. I think that because we should have grown beyond that, and I think we should have grown faster than we did as a society. I think that things, politics and things just really dragged us down. But I think that part of the reason we're here is to develop a spiritual side, and I'm always looking for that. And that's part of why I do Ghostly Talk is that I want to grow in, I want to grow scientifically. I want to grow as a ghost researcher. I want to grow as a spiritual being as well, And so running across these ideas is important to me, and I think that's probably why I'm here. And I'm so happy that that we get to discuss all this stuff openly.
Yeah.
But there are people who really do live in a box, or never want to at least open it up a little bit and peek out. They just want to. All right, I'm a ghost researcher, and that's it.
Yeah, I say there are real humans here because they are just they are the box.
Right, I believe it.
They really are the box. They really do not see what we see.
In this field now, in the ghost research field or the paranormal club field, whatever you want to call it, the matching T-shirt field, I like to call it. I see it over and over again, and I'm not trying to knock the people involved with this sort of thing, but I see, and we said this not too long ago, that the word scientific is being used way too liberally nowadays, I think.
Yes, it is.
I think a lot of people are using the term scientific. They don't really understand what the term scientific really means. And, even though I want to see zeros and ones and blacks and whites when it comes to evidence in paranormal or ghost research, the fact of the matter is that I think after doing the show for 7.5 years now, like we've done, if there's one thing I have learned, it's that there are no blacks and whites of this field. It's a lot of gray areas, and unfortunately, it isn't going to always fit into the scientific.
So all we can do is do what makes sense to us, and I think that might be why Heidi's on the show. Is because you're going out, you're finding all this interesting stuff, and
I want to talk about interesting ideas. I don't want to talk about data. I want to talk about interesting ideas. That's what the paranormal is about.
Right, because I'm sure you could sit there, Heidi, and you could say, okay, well, I've heard about 427 shadow people. I've heard about 750 ghosts,
but ironically enough, this has to be said though, because just an hour ago we were talking statistics though.
Right,
but they were interesting statistics.
Right. Well, there's a difference.
But there was a difference.
Kill me.
No, I'm serious. But it was at Duke University. Come on, it was really interesting stuff. And we didn't sit there and go, well, there's a statistics that says. We didn't sit there and talk numbers like eggheads for an hour.
Right.
But it does have its place in the paranormal. I understand that. But we're talking about ideas here when it gets to its very core.
And I love it when you go off on one of these things and you come back with an idea that really means something to people. How many people have you told about picture prayer, and have they have people incorporated it into their lives and benefited?
From what I've heard, and someone that even took a little bit and put in their own book, but that's always fun. but isn't that hilarious?
Yeah.
But I get a kick out of that sort of thing. But I honestly, a lot of people have told me, it's like, wow, it's really opened things up for me. I don't feel so darn, restricted, and I could just, have these talks, and I don't have to be so formal about it. I don't know why people are so hard on themselves, when it comes to their faith, and, it's funny because it's like, my book, Jesus is No Joke, I'd recently written an article that was kind of based on it, and I had someone, a friend of mine, read it that is, kind of strict with their religion, Christian religion, and they read it, and I'm like, so what'd you think? I'm kind of colorful the way that I write. I'm not anal in any sense, but I keep it real. It's like I'm not going to be insulting either, and they just kind of, put their head down. It's like, oh, if that's for a Christian, audience, I can't see anybody taking you serious. And I'm like, why? Was something insulting in there? No. It was just you're so happy and joyful the way you wrote that. I'm like, whoa. Wow. Like it's got to be this monotone, put your head down, be obedient. People are so, that was the one thing, when I wrote this book, Picture Prayers, based on going through the journey of Picture Perfect Prayer, it was literally, I felt like I had to be perfect and I had to be so strict and, be afraid of God because if you curtsy wrong, he's going to strike you down, It was so, I had such a fear about God. Why would I want to talk to him, inappropriately while I'm doing anything?
Well, there you go. I mean, why would you, there's people that I fear, my bosses, politicians, okay?
Right.
And those are people that even if I had the opportunity to really talk to them, I wouldn't, because I don't want to talk to them. So and this is coming down to logic again, because you need to pray to God every night, and if you don't pray to God, he's going to throw you into a pit of fire again. Okay, and I'm not squashing on people who have beliefs. That's cool, but I mean, I keep hearing, and people commenting on this over the last couple hundred years. We hear about love and love and love and love, and then the next thing we hear about, well, you didn't love, so now you're going to go to hell.
Right.
You're going to die in the pit of fire. And it's like, okay, I'm not. You're scaring the piss out of me here.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, be respectful of God. Of course, of course I am. Of course, but. I mean, my goodness, for a person to be the first one to pick up a boulder and throw it at you and, do not judge, God's the one to be the judge. And wow, the first person to, tell me I'm wrong is usually the holy roller, Yeah. Like, wow, unbelievable. And it's like I really try to approach the topics that I do as humbly as I can and as honest as I can. I come from a paranormal background, for crying out loud. For me to take a step forward and to talk about, having seen Jesus and had an angelic presence come to me and teach me a different way to pray, you better believe it was something unbelievable that just knocked my socks off, that I couldn't keep my mouth shut about it. I had to go and talk about it. Yeah. And it's like I'm trying to, just be like anybody else, because I am like anybody else. I'm trying to keep it real and to just share it, because I meet so many people at different conferences, whatever it is, that will pull me to the side and, and say, I could be at a UFO conference. Oh, so I heard you saw Jesus. Let me tell you about my personal Jesus encounter. And I'm like, why aren't these people speaking up? I really wouldn't seem so strange or rare if more people spoke openly, but they're afraid to be made fun of, to have their special encounter ruined by somebody's laughter. And I'm the type of person where I really don't care that people are going to smirk or I get these comments where it's like, oh, well, Heidi, you've dealt with aliens. How dare you, talk about Jesus? It's like, look, I'm not blending the two topics. I could, but why go there? As long as people can get it that, these things do happen, whether we believe in it or not. And I'm doing my best to try to, keep the lines clear, yes, whatever, but, as long as people are understanding of it. But, I could write a big old giant book and to show how everything connects, but it's like a lot of people will probably pass out, including my parents. But, maybe one day that book will have to be done. I wish I could write in my sleep.
All these ideas, though, they all seem to just come to the same fine point, though, because ridicule, for one thing.
Yeah.
Questioning things, for another thing. And again, I'm not. And I've gotten plenty of fun email on this stuff from people.
You bastard, you're gonna crucify you out in front of you.
And I've heard, but I believe that these are these things that we've been, unfortunately, over the ages they've carried along, and we've been programmed. I mean, obviously, we've been saying this for years. 15 years ago, we wouldn't be talking about this stuff on even an internet type radio show. We wouldn't be talking about this stuff. We wouldn't do it. And now it's this last decade. And it's become the decade, in my opinion, of a lot of enlightenment and spiritualism. I think it's a revitalization, personally, that people are talking about this stuff, and I think that's super cool. But it's this whole idea, though, again, of being ridiculed. And I think these things do go back to this old-timey religion type stuff where, you don't question anything. You just do what you're told. Dance, monkey, dance, or you're going to go to hell, period. And again, I always say the Egyptians, they built a pyramid because, the idea is they built a pyramid because they were going to go to heaven if they built this pyramid. That's one hell of a motivator to go to hell. Heaven, right? That's a real big motivator. Like, look, if we build this pyramid for the Pharaoh, we'll go to heaven with him. Well, heck yeah, get to work, guys. This is going to be awesome. Woo, we're all going to heaven, right? Cool.
Oh, right.
Now, the opposite now we think about this, though. Now, if you do that, you're going to go to hell. You're going to spend the rest of what a motivator.
It's negative motivation.
It's a what a motivator. Exactly. It's the same type thing.
Well, then I wonder if people could open the lines of communication with the higher power, right? With the highest power. Mm-hmm. And I know I'm not saying God, but I mean, God or whatever your particular religion believes in. If you could open these lines, because obviously I think picture prayer has a heck of a lot more bandwidth than audio prayer. I do. I think it has a lot more bandwidth. I say bandwidth because, and I really mean it. I mean, like, AM radio has a bandwidth of however much wavelength, right? Mm-hmm. But then you've got television needs a lot more bandwidth because it's pictures and audio. Mm-hmm. Then you have HD TV, which is even more bandwidth, right? And I mean,
we better get the Best Buy. Ooh, I said Best Buy. We better get the BB right here and take care of this stuff.
Cursing, but
we're not praying in high definition. What the hell's going on here?
But no, I think that picture prayer would be a lot more bandwidth. I mean, you're talking, putting feelings and pictures and emotions and your request or or what you've noticed or your intentions and you make all this and you send it and that's a lot of stuff because people are complex, and I think your prayers should be too.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah, and so I think that this would be a lot more bandwidth. What could this kind of thing do if we weren't limited to going, either when you're going to bed or when you're sitting down for a meal or when you're going, or every Sunday when you go to church and you kneel and you do the ritual and blah, 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 and then you get out a few words and then you're like, oh, I don't know what to say now, so I'm done. And in Jesus' name. And then you're done and you escape. But what's if you had a high bandwidth relationship with your higher power, what would that do to the human race as a whole?
Jeez, I think it's limitless. I really do. I really think it's limitless because there's so much that can be put in, so much more information. You know what I mean? It's like I've told people, it's like, pull out a photograph and, try to describe to me exactly what it is that's going on in that photograph. And, they could fill, 1,000 pages and they'll forget the dog lip, the dog hair stuck on somebody's lip. It's like, it's like smiling in the photo or something. They'll miss something. Yeah. But if you were there in the moment when it was happening, you've got the whole picture. You've got everything that was going on. You've got the emotion. You've got the joke that was cracked or the foul odor in the air. It's
none of this had to be there, Craig.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
But it's like you're able to capture it all. People really, really need to be a lot more. It's not carefree, but just being a lot more open about what it is that they live and experience with God. He is so wide open to the life experience, and we limit it with our few words, our mumbled thoughts, and it's so much bigger than that. And I think it's such a shame. And I try to dig deep within myself, and be as honest as I could when I wrote picture prayers to exhibit what it was, what drove me, what motivated me, what got me started to even reach out to God. I want to say hello to my mom and my dead Pekingese. It was no other reason. It's just like that sitting. Practicing the sit still in church thing that they called prayer really wasn't that interesting to me, and it's like that fear of going to hell or heaven or, do good. And it was interesting and all. It was a motivator to an extent, But then that just means you're going through the motions and not the emotions, you know?
Yeah.
You're tap dancing as fast as you can, so God's entertained by, you know, your fancy footwork, but not what you're doing, you know, really. So,
well, I have to point this out, too. I think I may have even quoted Carlin. I've quoted Carlin plenty of times on this show, which people think is hysterical, but you know, whatever. And we were at a party we were at the luge party last night, and we were talking about somebody I was talking to said she loves the band Blues Traveler. And John Popper, the band Blues Traveler, and we got to talking about music, like a really, you know, like just you know me when we started
music
really like tripped out with music,
yeah.
And I mean, it's you know, it isn't just a metal song, man. It's an anthem. It's a declaration. You know, I just can't say I dig those guys. You know, no, but I think I may have said this before, and I think this applies to prayers. Completely applies to prayers the same way in this sense. George Carlin said in one of his trips that, you know, when it comes to music and the blues especially, you know, it's not enough to know the notes that are being played. It's to know why the notes are being played. Right?
Yes.
And for God's sakes, when you think about prayer, I mean, a lot of people do the exact same thing. They just kind of jump through the emotions and they know what notes to play and then they fall asleep. But do they really know what they're doing and why they're doing it? And I think that's a brilliant, I mean, as far as not me, but Carlin, it's a brilliant analogy still for that thing too.
Oh, God, yeah.
Do you know what time it is?
Yeah, and it sucks because I'm really jamming on this thing.
Me too. I never thought I could talk about prayer for an hour, and but with Heidi Hollis, anything is possible. I'm telling you, because she probably sat up for 4 days straight figuring out how to do this. But the new website is www.pictureprayers.com, and of course I'm sure that's linked up over at HeidiHollis.com and all the others. We've got links through that.
Yeah, we got links for everything.
Talk. Heidi, you never cease to amaze me, and I have to say thank you so much.
We always, we'll have you on a gazillion more times.
I hope
you will.
Don't leave just yet. Yeah, hang on the line for one thing. We just got to do one more piece of business, and then we're out of here, and then we get the party afterwards. Right, Heidi?
Oh, yes, of course.
Really screw up your name again. I've done this to Heidi a couple times. I've called her Holly before.
That's all right.
Well, that's an amalgamation of her first and last name. But you guys, I have to say thank you to Heidi Hollis. Of course, I have to say thank you to Stacy Horn and for teaching us about Duke University and what's going on there. Or what
real quick, and I saved this to the end to screw with all you people out there because I love to do this kind of stuff. Robbie Thomas contacted me from the Can-Am Paracon.
Oh, yeah. That's coming up in just a couple weeks.
Contacted me and said, hey, I got 2 free tickets for you guys to give away. So what I'm going to do here to mess with you guys even more is if you've made it to the end of the live show and you've listened live, email me right now at scottl@ghostlytalk.com. I'm going to give 1 ticket away to a live listener, right? So if you email like right now or the next couple of minutes, it's the first come, first serve for this thing, right?
Right.
First email comes in during the live show here, which we're at the tail end of the live show, you get 1 ticket. Now, I'm going to reserve one now for the archive listeners because I've gotten complaints from people. So we beg to please here, of course. So what we're going to do is for the archive, if you're listening to this archive right now, whether it's podcast or whatever it may be, right? ScottL@ghostlytalk.com. I'm giving you guys a shot at 1 ticket also. First come, first serve for that, right? I'll keep an eye out for this thing, right? And it's going to be first come, first serve for the live show right now. And then when I post this thing up, probably tomorrow or whatever, people start listening, you send an email in also, okay? So I'm going to split it up between 2 factions here, right?
You are tricky.
I'm a bastard. I know that.
Yeah, it's past. Right. It's
we're past.
We got to go. So thank you, Heidi Hollis.
Yeah, Heidi, thank you again.
Stacy Horn.
Thank you guys.
Yes, hang on a moment. And wow. So next weekend we're here. We're here in studio. Hopefully, all 3 of us will find out, depending on how.
It's been a weird year, man. It's been like just like duck goose around here playing this show.
But one thing that's the same is our audience, and I want to thank each and every one of you for listening. I hope you learned stuff. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back again next week for more great fun stuff with Ghostly Talk. And for this week, this has been Ghostly Talk, and I've been Doug.
I've been Scott L, and we'll see you guys soon.